A few days ago, I saw the Babadook. Not the Babadook, though it reminds me of it. The Woman in the Yard. The Woman in the Yard. They've been showing this for months on previews in the theaters and stuff, and uh, no. What's it about? It's about a widow lost her husband in a car accident, and now she's living at this isolated house in the middle of nowhere with her two kids, an older boy and a younger girl. And she's still recovering from her injuries because she was in the car with her husband when he died. So she's still recovering from her injuries. Her leg is, on a sling or whatever. And all of a sudden, this woman appears in the yard. Woman appears in the yard, and she's all draped in black, and they're like, "Who's that?" She goes out to try to talk to her. The woman does talk to her and tells her today's the day. That's the main thing in the previews. It seems like she kind of gave her the impression that she knew her. They had lost power. There's no power in the house, and the older son is trying desperately to try to talk his mother into, like, let's get help, let's call somebody, something. But she's like, no, 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 and she seems to be still going through her grief and going through her struggle with the loss of her husband, their father. But as the movie progresses, the tension rises between her and her kids, particularly the son. He goes into a back and forth, and this woman is really struggling psychologically in her mind, in her heart, in her head about what's happening, what has happened. And this woman in the yard, sorry, it's not helping. And it appears as they try to hide from her, and she comes in, and there were a couple of scary moments. There were a couple of moments that I caught that was pretty good. That I have to admit was good, but it didn't save the movie. In my opinion, this movie is about grief in a nutshell. If you saw, and the reason why I mentioned the Babadook earlier was because if you saw the Babadook, it has a similar kind of premise. A widow has a kid, lost her husband in a car accident, and now there's this Babadook figure haunting them, right? So that's kind of the same idea here. The question is, what does this woman represent? Does she represent death itself? Because that was the sense I started getting. Does she represent grief, which is what this woman was going through? Understandably, because grief gets us in many different ways, and it can drive us to do insane things. And you started seeing that manifest in this story. It can, after a while, especially during the third act, I started getting confused as to the identity of this weird woman in the yard, and what did she really want? What did she want out of the mom? What did she want out of the kids? And it seemed weird. And then the twist at the end kind of like confirmed what my daughter, who was watching the movie with me, told me way ahead. She already she already knew. She already knew. And I was like, wow, you were right. You were right. So my daughter's good. She can unwrap things. Even that, for some weird reason, for me, still didn't satisfy me completely. The movie still fell short. I think personally, I mean, the cinematography was nice, good shots, and the acting was good as always. I never take away from the acting for these kind of movies. What takes it away is the way it was created, the way it was expressed. The way it was dished out. It could have been done better. It could have been done better, to the point that first of all, it wouldn't have, it was too reminiscent of the Babadook in many ways, to the point that I'm thinking, well, this feels like it's a copy of it. You know what I mean? The Babadook was a foreign film. This is an American one. Okay. And Blumhouse tends to fall short many times, because that's the company that released this movie, fall short many times regarding how, if this movie's scary. And I'll admit, Blumhouse did come up with a couple of good ones, but not many. And this is definitely not one of them. So I'm going to give The Woman in the Yard only 2 coffee cups. and that's simply for the cinematography and for the couple of moments where my hair did in fact stand on ends. But that's not what makes to me a horror movie a good horror movie. I think what gives me the impression of a good horror movie is its substance, its story, and the way it's executed. And it didn't execute well. So if you want to enjoy and watch this movie, go ahead. I wouldn't stop. I personally will never see it again. I don't care if to see it again. But go check it out. It's in the theaters. Come back, talk to me, let me know what you think of The Woman in the Yard. Again, acting was good, cinematography was good, but then story-wise, it kind of just fell apart in the third act, and I wasn't too crazy about it as a result. So let me know what you think. Tap on the bell for future notifications for future Horror and Coffee content. Let me know how you feel about The Woman in the Yard as we continue through this year of horror movies. More things coming up. I got support channels in the bottom, support websites in the bottom. Buy me a coffee and Patreon. That's right. I finally caved in. I have joined the Patreon bandwagon. So, your donations for the channel are greatly appreciated, with some other cool stuff too. Take care. All right. Until next time.